Hey everybody, it's Irene with BrainStormAcres. And this morning, I've got a bunch of cleanup to do so that I can get on with it. First thing I need to do this morning is pot up a bunch of plants. Now, unfortunately, it won't be universal. In other words, I won't be able to pot up every single plant in here because a couple of them have literally just popped out of the dirt, but maybe I will be able to. We'll see. Anyway, my goal is to at least clear as many of these trays as possible. Yesterday, I did a bunch of planting out of things that could be planted out, and that's things that are probably not going to get frozen to death if we get a sudden chill. We're currently forecast to be 41 or above for several days, like the extended forecast, and higher. But do I trust the weather people? Heck no, because they're guessing. They're making educated guesses, but they're still guessing. So first thing I'm going to do is pot the tomatoes up, and then I'm probably going to pot up the Sweet Williams. And that'll clear out a bunch of stuff for me because I need space. And that's part of my problem right now, is a lack of space. So let's get going. Now, when I pot up tomatoes, I am super careful about labels. The reason being, there's nothing obvious about tomato plants. The other day when I potted up a bunch of stuff, I mentioned that I wasn't concerned about labeling everything, because the plants were very distinctive, and I do reuse my labels to a certain extent here. These appear to be mostly flower labels so far. That's a pepper, but we don't grow that one anymore. My first move this morning is going to be potting up tomatoes, not peppers. And then I'm going to be planting a bunch of seeds. So I have a ton of work to do. In the past, I have struggled with getting labels like this. And this year, I just decided I was not up for a struggle, and I did not feel like driving from location to location in order to find labels. So I simply went online to the big A in the sky, and I bought like 2,000 of these things or something like that. One of the cool things about transplanting tomatoes is if they are too leggy, you can plant them down. There's not too many plants that you can actually do that with, but it makes it really easy. Now, I can see looking at this, I've got a couple of situations where we have a big plant and an itty-bitty plant. In this case, the itty-bitty plant is so itty-bitty, I'm not going to try busting it out. I'm just going to leave it in there with its buddy. And if it makes it, awesome. And if it doesn't, oh well. I know it wouldn't make it if I ripped it out of there, so I can always split it when I actually get it out to the garden. Now, I know some of you are sitting there going, why bother label everything? And I mentioned that it has to do with knowing the varieties of tomatoes. But some of you might wonder, why does that matter? Well, we grow all kinds of tomatoes here. We grow cherry tomatoes. We grow what they call, there goes the fan. We grow determinate tomatoes, which means they only grow to a certain height, and that's as far as they grow. We grow some that are indeterminate. And the spacing and the needs of those plants will be different. So for instance, this one that I'm currently planting is Gardener's Delight. It is a cherry tomato, very prolific. And some of these plants are going to be going in here in Dutch buckets, and others are going to be going in the garden. But looking at this plant, it doesn't look dramatically different than some of these other things. But it is in terms of its growth habits and where we want to use it. We want to be certain that whatever we plant into the greenhouse is what we wanted in here. And if we know something like a gardener's delight is going to take extra space, we want to make sure we give it that space. We don't want to be trying to deal with it later when there's not enough space. So if you're just growing one kind of tomato, then in your mind you're labeling it tomato, and it doesn't make any difference. But if you're growing a bunch of kinds, it may be a good idea to figure out a way to label things. Now, you don't have to use labels. For instance, if I had red solo cups and blue solo cups, I could say, okay, I'm going to put all my big beef tomatoes in the blue solo cups, and I'm going to put all my Bella Rosa tomatoes in the red cups, and if I've only got two kinds of tomatoes, I'm set. But when you have a more complex situation, sometimes you need to come up with a better solution. Be sure to come back for phase 2 of this planting session. Lots going on, lots of good information, and if you don't come see us, you'll miss it. So be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, because otherwise you might not know we've put out something else cool. So until next time, bye.